The TDA, developing people, improving young lives.
Jane Upton is preparing for a football lesson that has particular significance. It's part of her performance management review.
Performance management is an ongoing thing throughout the year where you have periods of focus. It helps me decide where I'm going and what I want to improve on. I wanted to develop girls' football because it's one of the biggest growing sports in the country. Basically, I know a lot about hockey, but not a lot about football. So it's a knowledge area that I need to expand on and I need to develop.
Jane's targets for the year include promoting girls' football and increasing her own football knowledge.
It goes without saying, no funny stuff, all right? Otherwise you'll be straight out.
So how does the review fit in?
Every now and again, there'll be time set aside where they can come out and observe your lesson. It's logged in as part of the school process, so it's very beneficial.
Jay Chaundy is Jane's head of department. He'll conduct her performance management review.
Period 2, I'm going to observe Jane teach. She's teaching a football lesson. After the lesson, I'm going to feed back to her about the lesson. After that, we're going to have just a keep in touch meeting regarding performance management and checking how she's doing with the 3 targets we set at the start of the year.
Performance management I see as two people coming together, a bit like a marriage in a way of a school and the teacher, and I think that both parties need some satisfaction here, that in a way the school needs to get what it wants, and the teachers also need and want to be developed.
Performance management is a process where you actually help somebody to develop. Why it's managed is in the sense that you're helping them to develop towards a collective goal.
You know, we've got this KIT meeting that we're doing at the moment, which we're starting off.
Colin Riggs has devised a system of what he calls keep in touch, or KIT meetings, to review performance management targets throughout the academic year.
It seems stupid that dialogue only happens once a year in September and then it's sort of forgotten until the September afterwards. So have you had a look at the targets?
I have, yeah. I've got her targets just here.
How's she done?
She's the 3 targets, 2 of them she's, as far as we know, so far exceeded, but there's a third one.
Fantastic, yeah.
There's an issue with, which was a course we wanted to put her on.
Right.
Because Jane has 2 children the course run over the holidays or a weekend.
Right. I mean, there is, if she's been unable to go on the course, then you actually do have leeway to change that target at this point, really. I think that both the reviewers and the reviewee actually need to be brought up to speed with what the process is and how to engage with it.
It should be directed from the teacher, it shouldn't be imposed, and I think that's where some people go wrong. They just agree with what other people suggest. They think you should be doing this. It needs to come from the teacher because obviously it needs to be motivated. You've got to be driven to want to put the work into it.
The other thing then, we sort of bolted on this, the observation, haven't we?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that, the observation?
Yeah, I mean, I just really need to decide what my focus is.
Yeah, you do, and I think that the purpose of the observation is very much so that when it comes to the final review, probably in September, that you can make a judgment on what's called the totality of performance. So, you know, we don't need to get too hung up on the observation being firmly linked to the targets. What happens is that in order to actually burst through several thresholds, teachers need to perform well according to their performance management. And what that does is actually ramp up the importance of the performance management process. Because of that, what we need to do, and schools in general, and this school in particular, needs to make sure that the reviewers are properly trained in their role, because their decisions that they're making actually affect the pay packets of teachers and their progress. And that's a hell of a responsibility.
Okay, if you put the equipment down over in the corner, and if you could all just get yourselves into 2s, please. Number 1's on the first line, and the second person you pair behind them on the second line. Now, today's objective, or what we're going to be working on today, is looking at the passing in football. So if you're in a game and a defender comes towards you, we're looking at when do you make the pass to get round that defender and the ball coming back to receive it. We call that a 1-2 pass. So that's going to be a key word that you've got to try and remember. We're also going to be thinking about...
Today's focus will mainly be on teaching and learning. Because Jane's done so much work on developing a subject knowledge for football, I'll be looking at whether she can pass that subject knowledge on to the students, and whether, over the course of 50 minutes, the students, start at A and, arrive at B, really, with their development.
Okay, next one we've done before, high knee lift, get those knees nice and high. On the way there, it's the knee high lift. On the way back, we're kicking those bottoms, high heels. Off you go. I actually welcome somebody coming in and giving me help as to how I can further develop my football skills. Jay, he's a football specialist. He comes out and observes my lesson. It's actually really positive for me. Okay, stop, jog it back to the start. And that's the important thing, that you are observed by somebody who has got knowledge in your subject area. They can then give you advice and feedback, things that you could benefit from.
The heads of department are critical for this process, because I could, from a distance, pretend that I am managing the performance of a member of staff, but I don't work with that member of staff on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, right, now this next one.
It's the head of department who works with a member of staff, understands what support they need and can work closely with them and bring them forward. And that is a fundamental relationship in terms of making performance management work. Now, Jay would have supported Jane's target because Jay in himself has a broader target for the performance of all students at PE in Key Stage 3. We have a school target which is to do with Key Stage 3 performance. That trickles down to Jay to say the standards in PE at Key Stage 3, and he's then interpreted that with Jane in terms of the standards within her particular group and what contribution her group will make to the PE standards and therefore standards of the school as a whole.
Thank you for letting me watch your lesson, Jane. I really enjoyed it. It was really good to see the girls doing football. Okay, we start off with the teaching in the lesson. I thought it was very strong. I thought that was a part of the lesson, which really stood out. You were there with lots of confidence. You started, very much command style with the kids with the warm-up, and then progressed to lots of practice and with elements of independent learning. I thought the kids were very much engaged and very much stayed on task. Can you describe what the task is Mrs. Upton's asked you to do?
Well, Jenny will pass it to Danny, and then Danny will pass it back to Jenny, and Jenny will pass it to me, and it'll go around like that.
Okay. Can you tell me how that links to your learning objectives at the start that Mrs. Upton said?
It's like a V-pass sort of thing.
Okay. You know what it was the name she said?
1-2.
Good. Okay, let's see it working. The positive attitudes of the students was fantastic, The age-related attainment was very good. There was some clear learning there. You could see that they'd done a block of work. There were confident performance, and the practices that you put in place and the tasks brought out that 1-2 pass, really well. Mm-hmm. The areas I think that you could improve that, and maybe pushed up to the outstanding lesson, would have been with the outcomes. I felt that maybe if you shared a few levels with the actual outcomes, students might have known, been able to target set themselves a bit more. When they were working, you could have said, this is a level 4 performance, this is a level 5 performance. Mm-hmm. And the students themselves could have maybe, watched their partner and said, right, that would be a level 4, that would be a level 5.
Perhaps on the demonstrations I could have got different levels identified. That's a level 3, 4, that's a level, getting 4 to 5, and that's a strong 5, possibly into a 6.
Yeah. White.
And so, as your judgments, I thought teaching a 2, that could have quite easily been pushed up to 1, I think, with the use of the national curriculum levels.
Yeah.
Learning 2, the attainment a 2, and attitudes and behaviour, was outstanding.
Yeah.
That was quite easily a 1.
Are you ready?
Girls' football isn't just in the lesson schedule. One of Jane's targets is to encourage extracurricular activity by promoting girls' teams.
We started off in my first year having just one team, an under-16 team. We've now got an under-16, under-15, under-14 and under-13 team, where local champions on the under-14 five-a-side. We have, in the year before, been area champion. We've been invited up to the Beckham Academy as a result of that. And so it has an impact, not just within the PE department, but across the whole school.
I got like lots of other sports I play and stuff, and I sometimes go to a football club, and I think it just like fun.
I never really liked football, but since I come to Ratton, I've loved it.
But I don't think I'm good enough to like get in any clubs like that play against other teams or anything, because there's loads of other good players in my class and stuff.
One of our objectives was actually to improve standards at Key Stage 3, I mean, specifically about the percentage of children that get certain levels. Okay. Now, you may wonder, whatever could girls' participation in football have to do with that? Well, the logic of it is, and what the discussion between Jay and Jane has gone, is that, look, to raise standards in girls' sport, we need higher levels of participation in extracurricular sport. If we raise the participation of students in extracurricular sport, it will raise the standards in sport and therefore contribute towards the school's target of raising standards at Key Stage 3.
Targeting, say, just the extracurricular sort of football, team-wise, I mean, what successes have you sort of had this year?
I've been at the school 3 years now, and in the 3 years, first season we were under 14 area champions, so that was really good, and that was a boost to the under 13 team. Students are still coming up to me saying, "Oh, you know, can I come along to football?" And I'm encouraging as many people as possible.
What sort of numbers do you have for training?
We have this year at the beginning of the season we had about 50 or 60 girls involved in wanting to be in the team.
Brilliant.
There would have been more, but because a lot of them are involved with other sports as well, they're dancers and gymnasts, then quite often there's a clash on the club's nights.
I mean, it clearly is helping to create a vibrant, challenging and developing school.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely helping our students become confident, creative and caring as well. So I think it covers two big areas of the head's vision.
Some people don't like teamwork, but like it's quite good when you get used to it, and like you got to share everything you have, not just keep it to yourself.
That first target was a high challenge. The third target is a lower challenge, but we've had a few difficulties with that, haven't we? We said here to research the dates for the Level 1 FA football coaching course.
To improve her qualifications in football, Jane had proposed doing a Football Association course as one of her targets.
I really would like to get on a football course because that would benefit me in the teaching and the department across the board.
But we hit a few problems, didn't we?
Yeah, it'd be the week in the holidays, and I've got young children, so it would be a big commitment from me. It'd be really nice to be able to find a course that I could do during term time and maybe get some cover to release me to do that.
So I just wonder whether we change your target and well, your target still is develop something knows football, but if we change the action and say you come and observe some of my lessons and
that would be really
maybe
good.
some of Mr. Kingham's lessons. If I cross off the Level 1 and make sure that gets on the system.
So what's important in all of this is that consultation that goes on initially, and then actually genuine negotiation that goes on throughout the process.
Right, Jane, I found this really useful. And it was very enjoyable watching your lesson, which was good.
Okay. Well, I look forward to watching your lessons as well.
Thank you.